Hey, greetings, folks. We have a fantastic podcast today. I'm looking forward to sharing with you. Here's some of our topics. Pedophilia as the linchpin. That came to me in a dream. We'll talk about Apple's child protection algorithms on iOS 15 software. We're going to talk about Bill Gates and his vaccination plan and who is behind it. We're also going to talk about the modern eugenics push of the elites. And just to make it really fun, we'll also talk about the radicalization of America's youth. Today on the Weekly Kingdom Outlook. Well, greetings. Apostle Lewis here with you, and I decided just to do a very long podcast today. A lot of topics. Stay tuned for them. I'm going to go through a lot of things, and I just had, in the making of this, the video of this is always released on Thursdays, but today is Tuesday, July, I do believe, 10th. Boy, days sometimes melt into it. Hey, remember you can follow me on Locals at thegatechurch.locals.com. Please go ahead and sign up. I'm going to keep saying it. There's a free side, paid side. You can do the free side. It will be such a blessing to me if you do that. And then also at DeSiena.com. And you can go there and join our email list and things like that. Have so much to share about. Had a beautiful lunch today with two of my four spiritual fathers, in Randy Lechner and Dan Duke. Randy just happened to be driving through town and had coffee with him last night. He was staying a night, was able to get me and him and Dan together, had a wonderful time as we talked about the kingdom and stuff like that, and really excited. I've been having such a great year, to be honest with you, and things are going so well. Really accessing some very important keys to those things that, you know, we need to see in our lives. So let's start off with this first one and first topic, and let's talk about the dream I had from the Lord this last weekend. And very interesting dream from the Lord where the Lord spoke to me, but in this dream, I was hammering this big rock. It was about this big. And I had a splitting wedge I use on firewood, but I was trying to split this rock wide open, and that rock was pedophilia, and it was on top of this enormous rock that in the dream was called the deep state, the cabals, just the whole thing. And as I hammered the top rock, it finally split. But when that one split, the big one also split and fell apart. And the Lord spoke to me and said, pedophilia is the linchpin that is holding the whole deep state cabal together. And that when that one gets opened up, when that one gets exposed, when all that comes out, and it will come out, that when that happens, it will crumble the deep state. It will expose everything. And, you know, thinking about that, I'm not going to do these in order that I was going to do it. I want to talk about Bill Gates and what his relationship was with Epstein. Because, you know, people think that when they think Epstein, rightfully so, they do think about an island down in the Caribbean where they were having a bunch of women. Now, little girls and boys. Now, you got to understand what they were doing there. You got to understand what they were doing there and what goes on in the deep state. They're into human sacrifice, drinking of kids' blood. This is all, I don't want to get into all this too deep, but there's a endorphin released, a chemical released in children when they're scared. And if you extract the blood right then and drink it, it's supposed to help your youth. And by the way, I had a picture up on Facebook of one CEO of said book with a statement about it. And I'm not going to put that up. I'm going to get kicked off Facebook eventually here. But this is what they all do. The Clintons started their whole political career started because they went down to Haiti on their honeymoon and drank the blood they participated in a voodoo ritual, voodoo ceremony where they drank the blood of a black pig. And that's where they got involved in the occult. And, you know, if you understand who Bill Gates is, Hot Springs, Arkansas is where he learned how to weave all this stuff. I don't have time. Maybe we'll go into one of these topics at a time, but you could do your own research. Arkansas, the state troopers and all that were as corrupt as they could be. They used to bring in women for Bill Gates. Same kind of stuff. It goes all over the place, folks. There's a lot. That's why I'm not into this purity of the police force. I'm just not into that. I'm not into the purity of the priesthood. To be honest with you, I haven't even seen that. And I can't even tell you that every person who's a minister is pure. Why would I think that government is? That's the police or the government. I'm sorry. I don't believe in the purity of it. I don't believe everyone is pure as fresh driven snow. I don't believe any of that. And so we've had corruption. I mean, some of you might not even be old enough to remember New York's corruption in the movie Serpico, and this is nothing new. Nothing new that there is. Whenever you get power, you will have corruption. It's just the way it is. So let me tell you what Bill Gates and Epstein were working on. Now, what Epstein did was he took people down there. They thought they were going to this billionaire's island, and he got them in compromising photos where they must do his bidding forever, where this is how it worked. This is why he was covered up. By the way, one of the people who let him escape was actually Bill Barr's father. And so you need to understand that Bill Barr was not a good guy. Matter of fact, where is the John Durham report? You know where it's at? John Durham's in witness protection now somewhere. He's on the side of a milk carton somewhere. You're not going to hear from him. You're not going to hear from him. McConnell, all those guys, all of them are corrupt. And it's not, we got to stop thinking black, white, left, right, Republican, Democrat. You have to stop that. You have to stop that thinking. Otherwise, you're going to be completely deceived. Okay? Because what's really going on is there is top tier and the rest of us. That's what's going on. It's the elites and the rest of us. And one of the things that Bill Gates and Epstein were looking at was actually, listen, Jeffrey Epstein was going to create a ranch out in, I think, New Mexico, Arizona, somewhere out there, where he was going to impregnate 20 women a day. Why? Because he had good, white, elite, intelligent DNA, and he was going to impregnate women every day. And that's what Bill Gates was working on. Why? Because who is Bill Gates? Well, that's what most people don't know. Bill Gates is a eugenics guy. Bill Gates and his father especially, is Planned Parenthood, was a part of that. People don't realize who these people are and what they actually believe in. Bill Gates' dad was the head, I'm going to give you the dates, was the head of Planned Parenthood. He says Bill Gates' father, head of Planned Parenthood, inspired his abortion. Population control views. His father was, at one time, the head of Planned Parenthood. That's who Bill Gates is. And see, most people do not know that. They think Bill Gates is a computer guy. Nope. The whole thing that he got this thing for a song from IBM didn't know what it was about, is actually false. IBM, let me get to that one to another one. But if you understand that IBM had this whole fund set aside, and we're going to talk about some things, but listen, hang on to this one. Share this with people. This one's going to have some topics on it. But that's who Bill Gates is. Bill Gates is into population control, but it's not just population control. Bill Gates is into the right population control. What his deal is it's not it's not just about population control. It's about who should have the right to live and who should not. And so we have to understand that in spring of 2009, Bill Gates met with, in a secret meeting, it was Bill Gates, listen, Warren Buffett, David Rockefeller, Eli Broad, George Soros, Ted Turner, Oprah Winfrey, and Michael Bloomberg and others. And they met at the president's home of the Rockefeller University. And they met. And it was dubbed as these billionaires got together just to talk. But you know what they talked about? How do we shrink the world's population? How do we get, by the way, how do we get the undesirables? See, eugenics goes back to Darwinism. Okay? Darwinism created this idea that you can create a perfect race. It created it because everything was less desirable. And so for some in the KKK, that was blacks. By the way, Margaret Sanger, founder of Planned Parenthood, believed the darker you were, the worse you were, the more evil you were. And therefore, she created Planned Parenthood, which was not about helping women, and it still is not about helping women. It is about depopulating minorities in America. They go, but why are they opening up the border? Because they have a problem. You have another problem is that we need cheap labor. We don't want to pay. We don't want to pay people. We're rich. We need the money. We need population control. But if we can get enough minorities up here from the South, you know what we can do with their kids? We can decrease their populations as well. That's what this, why do you think Bill Gates is in Africa? Do you think it's about malaria? No, it's not about malaria. It's about sterilization, and it's about decreasing Africa's population. It's what it's about. You have to understand, okay, that Bill Gates is a eugenics guy. He is a Hitlerite. Okay, and people don't realize that, that Hitler just wasn't about getting rid of Jews. But why did he want to get rid of Jews? You know why? Because he believed Jews were parasites. Do you hear the left's rhetoric now? How we need to get rid of these people. These people, we need to wipe them out. You hear the left? That all comes out of that language. It's Nazi Germany that, by the way, never died. It just went underground. It went into the elites. That's why Paperclip and other government agencies brought all those scientists here. Why? Because, to be honest, to tell you the truth, President Roosevelt loved Hitler and Mussolini. He loved eugenics. He was a progressive. Progressive is nothing more than a racist. Just nothing more than a racist in a coat. They just come up with this night, we're progressive. What did progressive mean? We want to tear down the Constitution. You know what they tell you? The Constitution enslaved people. No, it's not true. The Constitution is what actually freed people. It's actually what freed us. It's actually what freed blacks and women. And they've been indoctrinating our children ever since. You got to know who Bill Gates is. He is an evil person. He is not a godly person. Forget about the sexual affairs. The same thing Cuomo did, he did. And we're going to get into Cuomo in a second. Cuomo, as of today, Tuesday, August 10th, Cuomo has stepped down. But you need to know why he was outed. Because he wasn't outed because he was a sexual pig. They're all sexual pigs, okay? They all are, okay? Cuomo, Clinton, they all are. They all are pigs. It's so disgusting. It's not even funny. Okay? And we'll talk about Cuomo in a sec. But you got to know who Bill Gates is. You got to know why vaccines. You got to know what they're trying to do. Now, some believe they're putting a chip in there. I'm not even going with that. But here's how you control the world population. Number one, you spread a virus. Number two, you say the virus is so severe that we're going to have to take drastic measures. And you begin to lock down people and control them. and you create a database of who's controllable and who's not. You start saying to people like this: if you don't get vaccinated, you're not going to be able to go to school. If you don't get vaccinated, you're not going to be able to. You're not going to be able to go to the grocery store. Oh no, that doesn't happen. Really? Do you know that in France the other day, the police were out in the streets and people were in restaurants. They were demanding their vaccination card, otherwise they were in trouble. It's happening in Europe, and that's not far from it coming to America. The only problem is here, they got our Constitution is so strong that they have to tear that thing down. And by the way, George W. Bush is a part of the cabal as well. Do you remember George Bush didn't say one thing, not one thing during Obama? 8 years of him bashing him, doesn't say a word. Trump becomes president. You know why they didn't like Trump? Because Trump understood some things. Trump knew who they were. Now, Trump was foolish because Trump actually thought he could trust some of the Republicans. That was his downfall. It really was his downfall. It took him 2 years to get hold of his office, 2 years to get hold of the White House just to get it under control. And by then, they were already plotting his defeat. They already had it plotted to take over the election. He was warned by Rodney Howard Brown of what was coming in 2016. He was. His staff was. And his staff told Rodney to be quiet. And then when it happened, they told him, why didn't you say anything? He says, you told me to be quiet. You told me don't talk about it. It's not like prophets haven't warned of this stuff. You have to know what's going on. The church has to just stop making it so easy as, evil against good and dark and light. You have to start seeing the web of stuff that's going on. You got to open up your eyes and see and learn some things and really see. Now, I'm not saying that in to be condescending. I'm just saying we've got to know who we're fighting. We got to know how to. We are in a warfare. I hate to tell you, we're in a battle. We're in a battle for the souls of mankind. We're in the battle for, yes, God wants harvest, but then we have to disciple, and we have to get them. We have to get their minds renewed because they've been under the cabal of so much stuff. So these people met and they came up with a vaccination plan, and they came up with it in spades, and they found the perfect. Remember this. Trump wasn't supposed to win. Hillary was supposed to. Now let's talk about Cuomo. Because if I go on this for so long. That's already 15 minutes. Let's go on Cuomo here. Cuomo resigned today. Now, you got to ask yourself, let's look at Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo came on this big media darling thing. But remember go look back at the pandemic. Go look back at when Trump was calling governors every day, and Cuomo is praising Donald Trump. Praising him. He's giving us everything we need. He sent up the hospital ship for us. He had all these high praises for Donald Trump. Donald Trump had praises for him. Hey, we had great talks today. They're telling me what they need. I'm sending it to them. By the way, it's not Donald Trump's job. Governors were supposed to have emergency equipment. They found out that Cuomo had none, zero. Found out even that the U.S. government didn't have any. That they had let it all go bad. And Trump gets ventilators created. He does they're telling him what he needs. And Trump goes out and brokers deals and gets it done. Remember, Trump's not going, this is what you need to have. They're telling him he needs this, and he's getting it to him. And they're praising him. Cuomo's praising Trump. And all of a sudden, on a dime, Cuomo turns against Trump. Turns against him. And starts bad-mouthing him. And I'm going to tell you why. He got a phone call. Someone got to him and said, excuse me, remember all this stuff we have on you? All your sexual harassment? And you're sitting there praising Trump? We're trying to take him out. And all of a sudden, Cuomo becomes a jackass. And guess what? Cuomo becomes this media darling all of a sudden. Now he's presidential and he's doing this. And next thing you know, he gets an Emmy. He gets all this stuff. It's all bullcrap stuff he gets. They all knew about his sexual harassment. They all knew. This wasn't new stuff. They all knew about it. So you go, why is he getting outed now? He made a mistake. What was the mistake? He said that he might run for president in 2024. And Kamala Harris will have none of that. Kamala Harris unleashed the AG's office on him. Trust me. Don't think the AG office in New York that's been lying about Trump for 5 years, okay, has been fabricating stuff for 5 years. Do not believe that all of a sudden they saw the light and got morals. This is a political power play. She will take out everyone who has any aspirations of running against her in 2024. Because she will be president before 2024, most likely. Biden won't make it all the way through. When they're ready to get rid of Joe Biden, okay, they'll either bring out stories on Hunter and allow them to start coming up in the media. The media will start asking questions we've all been asking for years. What the heck happened with Russia? Okay, and it'll come out. Watch. It'll come out. Or Biden's health will so deteriorate all of a sudden, which is already bad. He should be president. It will so deteriorate that Biden will have to step down for the good of the country. But what that will be like, Joe, all this stuff's going to come out with Hunter, but the way you could avoid it is by stepping down. Look, what they're doing with Hunter Biden right now and giving him money for art is just a payoff. If you've never seen it before, it's in the movie Mickey Blue Eyes, when the mob is making Hugh Grant auction off really bad art for an obscene amount of money for payoffs. That's what they're doing with Hunter Biden, because that's part of the deal. I'll run for president. You can run everything, but my kids get paid. My kid's getting paid off. And that's what's happening. That's the Biden crime family. And it's deep. So is the McConnell crime family. McConnell crime family is deep. It's powerful. It's deep. Okay? That's how politics works in our country now. It doesn't work by someone. You don't get any power by just running for office. You have to do what they want you to do. Otherwise, they will take you out if you're in their way. Now, you can be neutral. You can just vote that way, and you don't have to get involved. But if you vote against them, you don't get any funding from the Republican Party or the Democratic Party. They'll just pull all of your funding. And that's how it works. Okay? And you need to understand that crime family. Now, let's talk about something else here. Moving right along. Modern day eugenics is a big thing. And I want you to pay attention to that in the months and even the year ahead. Modern day eugenics. Bill Gates is a big proponent of that. What is eugenics? Eugenics is, you know what, your DNA is not good enough to produce kids. It should only be the elite. If we just had all the Bill Gates in the world, all the high IQs in the world producing children, we wouldn't have idiot children. We can't get rid of all of you because someone's got to clean our toilets. But you are not us. See, we're the high elites. Of course, God calls them the foolishness of the world. Or actually, the wisdom of the world. And he'll make them fools. But that's who they are. All right. Now, let's talk about something that, when I first heard it, I had a little apprehension. I didn't know what it was. And I want to explain it to you. Apple is going to be checking photos against known child pornography photos. Now, let me explain how that works so you don't get freaked out. Number one, Google, Dropbox, Twitter, Facebook, all of them already do this. Okay? Facebook is the number one site for sex trafficking. They got like 20 million photos on Facebook that are actually known child pornography or sex trafficking photos. And I'm going to explain that in a minute the best I can in layman's terms to you. So maybe, because that's how I understand them. So hopefully we'll talk the same language. I won't get too deep on you. So you need to understand that the way Face ID works, it's not checking your picture against another picture and going, oh yeah, that's you. It's not how it works. it creates a whole geographical mathematical equation of your face, your ridges and everything. That's all these little triangles, and it literally codes that. And it says, here's the code. And when you turn on your phone and you open it up and do that, then when you do that, it literally can so quickly, it's so amazingly fast that it can do it so quick that you don't even realize it did it. That's how fast that front-facing camera is. It's lightning quick. It's kind of sick. Well, the agencies against child pornography and sex trafficking have done the same thing with all these known photos. There's these known photos that literally go around the black web, the dark web, and they're all out there. And so because they're all out there, they do the same thing with that photo, and it's got they call it like a hashtag, and they know that hashtag. And what Apple's gonna be doing on your number one, it's gonna start. I'm gonna tell you a guy to go on Facebook or YouTube to watch Renee Renee Ritchie, Richie, Renee Ritchie. He does a 50-minute video on this. And he's a guy I follow on YouTube that talks about Apple stuff, and he's one of my sources for really understanding some of this stuff. And so what it's going to do is, number one, if your kid, let's say you have a kid who's 10 years old, you give them an iPod Touch, or let's say an iPhone. My kids had iPhone at 10. Why? Because they'd walk down the street. My son got one, my youngest one got one because his iPod Touch broke. It was $200, or I can get him a phone for $200. And when he could call us, we could be in contact with him. And we did have some safeguards on him. You know, we've been very watchful over our kids. But this is even what happens sometimes to your kids is they do target kids. You know, this whole thing that YouTube and Facebook want to have a kids version of stuff. Facebook, just all that stuff is really spooky to me. All right. But what Apple has such a privacy record. My first reaction to this was, wait a minute, is this against privacy? And Apple has come out with a statement that says no, and they explained it, and Renee Ritchie did a good job with this. So let's look at this. Your kids get a message. Let's say you got it set up on your kid's phone, which you'll have to enable it when you set up the phone and say, yes, I want this on. And your kid gets a message, and it's scanned, that hashtag is scanned, and it is known to be a dangerous photo. It will hide the image. The kid clicks on it. It will give the kid a warning. The kid clicks it on again. It'll give him another warning, which will be like, if you click on this again, your parents will be notified. And then the next one clicks on it. If he does, he will see the image, and it goes to your parents. And your parents know that this person has seen this, that there's something dangerous. Doesn't go to the authorities and all that. Now, in iCloud, they're going to scan all your photos in iCloud for those hashtags. Now, it's not scanning images. It's scanning the hashtags. And that's the best way I could say the mathematical number of that photo. And they're known. They're not looking for new ones. So if someone's upload a new one, it wouldn't be findable because it was just made. Right? So it's not going after. So like I got pictures of my kids, you know, when they're babies and stuff like that. That's not what it's looking for. It's not looking at the image. It's looking at the underlying hashtags. And it finds those because they're known. And it's going through the database. And as that database gets updated, then so they keep scanning for that. So it's not going through your pictures of your grandparents with the baby in the bathtub or nothing like that. It's not looking at your stuff, and it's doing it on device. Now, when it's in the cloud, if it does get those, then it does go through a review process, and your iCloud account gets locked. And they will lock it down and call authorities. By the way, it's a felony. And so, remember, I start off with this, the pedophilia, the problem with that, it's the linchpin. I'm kind of all for this. Now, Apple has said in their statement, we will resist all requests. They're not doing this because of requests from the police. Here's the thing. They have gotten 22 million photos on all these other platforms. Apple has only reported, there's only been reported on Apple 265 photos. And Apple knows there's a problem that if they're only have 265 and there's millions out there, that their devices, their cloud might be the one cloud that's letting people get away with this. So you could see their concern. Like, we might be the one, because of our privacy, we might actually be allowing the exploitation of children. Now, that's a great concern for me on the privacy issue, but we're in this, where this is the world we've created now. Now, it doesn't violate the Fourth Amendment. Let me tell you why. You're warned. If you're putting child pornography, by the way, if you do it on Facebook, they're going to find it. You do it on Google. Google's been doing, all the other platforms have been doing this for 10 years. By the way, Apple has been doing it through your email, in the sense that if an email comes through the router and it has that, they can flag it, but not through messages. And they're trying to protect the kids at that level. Snapchat looks for them. All these places are looking for them. And Apple's kind of the last one. Now, here's always been Apple's philosophy. We don't want to be the first, but they're always weighing privacy. This is why I don't like doing stuff with Google and stuff, because I try to tell my staff, you don't put anything, like, let's say I'm talking to someone in a counseling session. I tell them I do not put that in Google Cloud. That's private information. I will use paper if I have to at the most. But what I will not do is put it digitally. Why? Because digital stuff can get hacked. Hacked stuff can go worldwide. And you have the expectation of privacy when counseling with me. And that's that. And so I have to protect that. So I know the concerns. I know the deep, deep concerns, because I have them too, as someone who believes in privacy and our Fourth Amendment. But this will not violate the Fourth Amendment. It can't go any further, because it would. If it was, we're going to scan everything, all that, then you have Fourth Amendment issues. But you have no right. It's a felony to have any of these photos on your computer. You can have one photo on your computer and you can be arrested. That's why I tell people, don't click stuff. Like, if you don't know from who and what, do not click it. Why? Because that's what some of the spam stuff does. It puts photos on your computer. It's what it does. And so stay off of that stuff. Don't click in emails and in messages and stuff like that. Don't click stuff that you don't know who it's from. Block them. Messages, you can literally go up to the information and block that user and not see it anymore. And report it. If you should get videos or get a message that is of gross nature, report it. Literally. Call the FBI or something and say, hey, look, I just got this message. This is sick. I want you to track it. And you can give them permission to track it, because we have got to stop the exploitation of our children. We must do whatever we can to stop that. It's that gross. It's that sick. I'll tell you what, it is horrible. All right. And you have to know this. Now, let me talk about, as we end here, I want to talk to you about what God's doing. Now, if you're in Jacksonville, I can't wait to announce something that's coming on the September 10th and 11th here in Jacksonville. Me, Dan, and Doug Rowland are going to be doing. Can't wait for that. We're going to announce that in a little bit. We're going to start doing some meetings, just some meetings. And I'm looking forward to that. I believe that we're living in the season where God has ordained for me and you to shine right now. I'm going to be doing some things on locals starting in the next couple weeks about the prosperity of God, your inheritance with your spiritual fathers, as well as your natural fathers, but your spiritual fathers. And I'm going to do that on locals, so you're going to want to sign up there. That right now in my life, I am overwhelmed by the goodness of God and what He is doing. I am seeing the financial blessing, the spiritual promotion increase, and a key that Dan got a vision on, shared it with me. The moment he shared it, it just so hit my spirit. I tested it almost instantly and saw a tenfold increase. And more than that now. And I want that for you. So I'm going to be doing that on locals. But, I was talking to Randy, and Randy, I said, Randy, what do you think's going on? What do you think? He says, for 20 years, 30 years, we've demonstrated the prophetic. But now God is calling us to demonstrate the prophet, and I believe also the apostle. In other words, we've magnified. Hold on for a second, folks. You see how I do this? We demonstrated the prophetic prophecy. But in this hour, in this season, it's time to demonstrate the office of the prophet and the apostle. There was a time in I think I've told the story in 29 to 2012, where I literally laid down my garments before the Lord, and I don't want to go through it all over again. And the Lord did something to me on New Year's Eve, 2012. And when I've been ministering lately, especially as I go out, I've been feeling the increase of God's anointing and power. All I need is hungry people. And, Todd Bentley gave me a word that I'd be like Clark Kent at home, but when I went out, I'd be like Superman. And part of the reason is that when you're around the people they don't pull on you. They're not pulling on you like they used to, or want to, or need to. But when you go out, there's a prophet or an apostle now, and they pull on it. There's just honor, different levels of honor. And that just happens. It's very easy to take for granted. Today, I had lunch with two of my four, Papa Jack's in heaven, but two of my four spiritual fathers that have absolutely shaped my life, Randy and Dan. Matter of fact, I met Randy at Dan's meeting. And that was such a blessing. The only thing that could have made today's lunch better for me would have been have Bill Johnson and Rodney Howard Brown at the table too. That would have been like off the chart good to me. But my heart is, I've always honored hard, honored sometimes and hurt. But we'll talk more about that. But I'm hoping you're pressing in. But I believe that the days of lack are over for you. If you'll tap into these keys, which I'll be sharing on locals. If you tap into these keys properly, the days of lack will end in your life and the days of abundance will come upon you. I honestly believe that in my spirit, because that's what the Lord spoke to me. The days of lack are over. And I never, ever want to have the arrogance think, well, it's just me. The days of abundance are here. And you go, Lou, how can that be? Because arise, shine. Isaiah 60. When darkness covers the earth, we are to arise and shine, and the glory of the Lord has risen upon us. We are in a season that I'm telling you, I have never felt before. Ever felt before. So I'm hoping that you too will stay tuned. Remember, go to locals, thegatechurch.locals.com, and go to lewisdsiena.com and get on my email sign-up list. Matter of fact, you can do that there's a couple of free video series, and you can grab those and just do that and get right on there and get a free video series on top of it. But I give away a lot of free stuff on there, so go there. And if you want to partner with me for $25 or up a month, all the schools that I've done will be, all the phases of the Gate School of the Spirit will be in your library. You'll get so much, folks. Let me just tell you a little bit of what you get when you, if you sign up for just $25 partnership. That's it. Just sign up for that. Let me tell you what you get. Let's see. Let me read it all to you because it's a lot. All right, listen to this. You get Louis DeSiena broadcast. You get Come and Abide series, King of Kings series, Eschatology of Hope series, Song of Solomon series. You get Gate School of the Spirit, which is another thing. You get Anointing in You. You get Do You Still Not Understand? Esther and the One Thing, Torchbearers weekly videos, Family, the Model of the Kingdom, Kingdom Manifesto, Level Up Leadership Project, Entering the Kingdom, Do You Really Want the Kingdom, 28 Days of Prayer, the Order of Melchizedek series, Discerning the Body, Fathers, Orphans, and Sons, Expanding Your Capacity to Believe, Generosity, Developing Your Leadership Potential, the Book of Esther, From Courtroom to Covenant, Prophetic Revelation Workshop, okay? And you also get all of the GSS schools. Phase 1 on healing. You get, which was healing. You get phase 2, which is the prophetic. You get phase 3, okay, which was, I'm trying to remember all the order they were all in, which was on angels. You get phase 4, which was on the secret place. You get phase 5, which is on foundations. Okay? And you get all of those for $25 a month. $25 a month, that's crazy. You'll never get through those in 1 month. It'll take you 2 years to go through all that. That literally right there is a kingdom school in and of itself. From prayer to miracles to prophecy, it is all in there. And it's all yours just for $25 a month. So go ahead and become a partner for $25 a month. What you do is you go to lewisdsiena.com and you click on donate, okay? And then scroll and it says become a partner. And then on there you click $25 a month. That's all you got to do. You get this, by the way, for $50. I mean, if you want to get 50, please. 50, 100, 250. Help us with preaching the gospel all over the world. Would you help us do that? We're traveling. We're doing things now. And I could use your help in that. I could really use your help in going out there and doing what the Lord has called me to do. And I would really appreciate it if you could help me do that. And your money is valuable to me. It's honoring. It's valuable. And I want to do my best to steward my life in a way, because when you sow into me, when you sow into what I do, you are also sowing into yourself. In other words, this stuff comes onto your account because you were so kind and wonderful and honoring that God credits you with every soul, every life touch, every miracle. It becomes part of your account as well. We're going to be talking about extracting from the account. And really, I'm going to do this on the paid side of locals, okay, just so you know. And I'm going to be, as I process it, I'm going to share with what I'm processing so you can get it as well. So I love you. God bless you. And you have a fantastic, fantastic day. Bye-bye.